Here it is, folks, the oldest and longest standing sports betting report, your world famous NFL tailgate party going back to your score phone days. I'm Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com. I've got, I think it's 3 free NFL winners right now at JoeDuffy.net. JoeDuffy.net. 3 free winners in the NFL against the spread. 17-9 in the NFL I am since the preseason with my premium plays. A Thursday Night Football total of the year, Jacksonville under. Coming in 160 money line, or only money line pick of the entire year. Indianapolis was easy last week. 10 NFL winners now at OffshoreInsiders.com. All right, here is your sharp report. Why don't we start it out with your NFL biggest line moves? And these would include going back to when they first opened in the preseason, some of the NFL games of the year that the sports books released. New England opened up as a 10-point favorite. And they are now all the way up to a 21-point favorite against the New York Jets. Likewise, Dallas opened up as a 15-point favorite to Miami. Miami is tanked, now 21 and a half. And, of course, Josh Rosen will be starting at quarterback for Miami. We're going to have some more NFL injuries and all that coming up. That, of course, not an injury, but just a decision. And really, I think Rosen has a much bigger upside, but we'll talk about that more in a moment. Carolina and Arizona. Arizona opened up, in fact, as the underdog in that situation, getting 3.5. But instead, they're now the favorites of 2.5. San Fran, and that's against Carolina. Of course, we'll talk about NFL injuries. And that's because of an NFL injury. We'll have that more in a moment. San Fran against Pittsburgh, open up at -1. They're now -6.5. But we have a lot more NFL injuries coming up. Detroit and Philadelphia. Philadelphia opened up as 8.5. They're now a 4.5-point favorite. New Orleans and Seattle. Seattle opened up as a 1-point favorite. They're now a 5-point favorite. But as I said, every single one of those very much affected by your NFL injuries. All right, let's go to the weather report. Again, brought to you by OffshoreInsiders.com, the place to go for vetted sports books and winning picks for handicappers that go all the way back to the 1980s. Green Bay and Denver. Denver at Green Bay, 64% chance of some precipitation. Baltimore, Kansas City, 75% chance of some precipitation. Atlanta and Indianapolis, 16 miles per hour winds expected. All right. We talked about those critical NFL injuries. Philadelphia wide receivers Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey are both out. Of course, for the Panthers, quarterback Cam Newton is out. He had no touchdowns and 1 interception. Kyle Allen gets the start. Steelers, of course, are without quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Mason Rudolph will get the start. Benji, no touchdowns, 1 interception this year. Colts wide receiver T.Y. Hilton and Marlon Mack, they are both anywhere from questionable to probable. It looks like some morning information says both should play. Kansas City running back LaShawn McCoy, game time decision. Of course, the Saints are without their all-world quarterback, greatest quarterback they've ever had, one of the all-time greats, Drew Brees. Teddy Bridgewater will get the start, but look for Taysom Hill to get a lot of playing time. Of course, he's one of those guys they like to use in the old Wildcat anyway. I'm going to expect to see a lot more of him today. Lions defense should be as close to full strength as they've been all season. They're starting to get healthier. Panthers star tight end Greg Olsen is probable, and Packers tight end Jimmy Graham is also listed as probable. And we got a lot more coming up, including your sharp versus square moves and whatnot. But please, keep in mind that we are also brought to you by mybookie.ag. If you like this free information, if you want free picks, 361 days a year, we'll be happy to give them to you. We get where the money is. Just tell mybookie.ag you want them to keep sponsoring us. You get up to a 100% sign-up bonus if you use the promo code Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y. Most importantly for you, you're going to get paid. That's not an issue. You'll be paid within 24 hours. All right, the biggest public moves in NFL for today. And again, when you hear about people talk about contrarian information, the thought here, the contrarian bettor would say to bet against the public and go against these moves. 80% of bets are on the Rams against Cleveland, 73% on Seattle against New Orleans, 71% on Dallas over Miami. Again, the public loves going with perceived mismatches. They especially like going with road favorites, but of course, some of the biggest mismatches are at home this year, or at home this week, I should say, and really a lot more home teams than usual are the biggest consensus moves. And then, New England at 70% against the Jets. Now, here are the biggest moves in terms of money and the so-called sportsbook liabilities. And if anything, a mild surprise here, usually the first category is the one that's dominated by road favorites, but now in this case, the second one is the money category is dominated by dominated by road teams, not necessarily favorites. The New York Giants, 79% of the bets against Tampa. LA Rams, 75% against Cleveland. Houston, 74% against the LA Chargers. And again, of course, the Giants, by the way, debuting their new quarterback as it looks like maybe the Eli Manning era has possibly ended. The biggest sharp versus square moves. Just two-way tie now for the biggest move. It is to go with New Orleans against Seattle and Washington against Chicago. We actually had a little bit, the totals aren't quite as strong, but we did have a little bit of totals information. Biggest sportsbook liability, 86% of the money is on Carolina and Arizona to go over, and 83% of the money on the New York Jets and New England to go under the total. And therefore, the biggest sharp moves when it comes to totals, the New England game to go under the total is considered a sharp move. Again, visit us at offshoreinsiders.com for the best premium sports picks and the thoroughly vetted sports books, and joeduffy.net has free picks. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. We had to start a new YouTube channel. We don't even want to talk about that crap. But wherever you're watching, please give us a like, retweet, etc. Show your support. And again, offshoreinsiders.com, your one-stop shop for the best premium picks and thoroughly vetted sports books.